I used to get donuts. And that's probably when I was maybe 5. And up until then, I wasn't allowed downtown. But there was a picture not too long ago of me on a bicycle at the corner of the bank, and it was in the library for a while. I don't know where it is now. But I was the only one in town with a basket on the front of my bike, so I knew it was me.
My first job would have been old Mr. Goldie, who lived on the corner of Ferry Street and Huron Street. And he had a great big garden in both yards every year. And when I was about 5 or 6 years old, he hired me to help him hoe. And so I would hoe, and then the next thing was it was time to pick things, and we picked things, and you had to shell them, and we shelled them all. And then he said, Johnny, go get your wagon. And he made a peddler out of it.
And you kept that up.
And I've been a peddler all my life. I never stopped peddling. Whatever it is, I peddle.
My first paying job was mowing lawns. And I had like 13 of them to mow at anywhere from 35 cents to 50 cents a lawn. And then my neighbor, who had a lot of buckthorn in their yard, I dug out that buckthorn. If you know what buckthorn is, yeah, I had to take that out. And I probably got 35 cents for all day of doing that. But my first job was mowing lawns.
Would you want another job mowing lawns?
No, those days are gone.
There's a couple stories here. First grade, we had Helen Lee, and she was married, but then you couldn't teach after you were married at that time. And she had to keep her marriage a secret. She taught us for 2 years. The first and second grade, I had her, and she was a good teacher. Then the next grade I had was Goldie Boger, and then Miss Harris was the next grade. Anyway, the one little story of when I was in Goldie's class. One day it was a very nasty day outside. It was really, really bad snowstorm. And her sister worked for the doctors at Dr. Dickinson office. And it was her sister came in the school because she couldn't get there any faster. She walked from her home, which is around 60. And she did that every day to get to work. And so they sat her down, and of course our class, we hear somebody interrupted our class, so we had to all pay attention. So we were watching, and what's his name? Barber. Yeah. He went and got a pail of snow, and they rubbed her hands in it. I thought that was something, but they were trying to get the chill out of her, and she was almost passed out there. He hadn't seen her and brought her in. I saw her one day not long ago, and I asked her if she remembered that. She said, yes, I do. And then I was going to tell you about Miss Harris. She was a good teacher, and she liked me, even though I talked a lot, and lots of times had to be punished, but she still liked me. Well, then Edith Croft was teaching the next grade, and she told my mother, because those days the parents knew the teachers pretty well, and so she says, well, when I get a hold of that Genevieve, she said, I'm going to bring her to time. She won't be getting away with all the stuff she's been getting away with. Well, in the meantime, Edith joined the service, so she wasn't there. And so I didn't have her for a teacher. I had to wait until my brother was in school. Now, he was 13 years younger than me, so you can remember how long that was. And
My earliest memories of Vermilion was Saturday nights. My mom and my sister and my dad and myself used to come uptown. Saturday nights were an outing thing. Basically, we lived on Douglas Street, and we spent a lot of time at Grandpa's farm out on Fraley Road, and but weekends we always spent down here, especially Saturday nights. And I remember as a kid, everybody gathered downtown, and I don't see pictures of the Root Band, but the Root Band used to come into Vermilion, and I know there was Harvey Crop and a few other men and the Zipper boys that played in the Root Band, and we thought that was the greatest thing in the world. And then as I grew up, we used to love the street dances downtown. My girlfriend, Nuggie Hayes, and myself used to come down to the street dances, and there was a gambling wheel always that the men could enjoy if they didn't dance. But basically, we had dances until 11:30 at night, right downtown, and they put cornmeal on the concrete, and that's what we danced on. We certainly wore a lot of shoes, and we certainly had a lot of fun. Well, that's all that.
My name's Marilyn Vanden Bosch, and I'm not a native. I feel like I'm a native of Vermilion because
Antler Hotel and Sedaris Hotel in Elyria. She hated drinking and drunks especially, and if a drunk came up to the piano, she'd say, "Move on, honey, and let some other lucky woman have you." She married Mary Chandler, my father, from Norwalk, and had 4 children. That marriage was for love, and as she put it, the neighbors got the love and all she got was a bunch of kids. She always told young girls to find the richest man you can find, and when the love flies out the window, you still have the money. She married Conrad Noon, who was 20 years older, because she had 4 kids and he had 4 bedrooms. He was a wonderful man, soft-spoken and kind. They were married for 19 years. When he died, she married Arthur Giddings, also 20 years older. Also a very nice man. He had 3 houses and no kids to inherit them. See, she planned these things out. They loved her very much, and she made them happy, as she loved to have people to dinner and laughed a lot and entertained. She made them go on nice trips out west, and they'd never done that before and enjoyed it. Art Giddings was probably, I don't know, 76 or something, and they went to drove. And she didn't know how to drive, and they drove to California and Florida one winter, and she wasn't a bit afraid to go with them, but they did well, and they had a good time. She was very good friends with Ruth and Elmer Trinner up at Axtell. When Ruth had died, I said, "Mom, why don't you go after Elmer Trinner?" Her reply was, "My God, I got you 3 houses and now you want a farm."
And cavalry charges. When you got a big horse coming at you, that could be hazardous to your health. He's a very romantic by now, but in those days, he scared us Buckeyes. Anybody have some relatives that live down in that part of town? End of my story.
Thank you very much, Bill.
About your family, your mom and dad's name, and any brothers and sisters?
No brothers and sisters. I was the only child. And my dad was going to dental school in Cleveland, and my mother was working in Akron. And after he got his license, he started his office, and we moved to Cleveland. And that's when we lived in Shaker.
Hey, Jim, it's very nice to have you here this morning. We're going to start out with a few introductory questions, like where were you born and when?
1926, and I was born at home in a house out on Joppa Road, right, that used to sit right where New 2 goes through now.
Okay, could you also tell us your parents' names and the names of any brothers and sisters?
Well, my father was Alva George Snell. My mother was Nina Ray Driver Snell. I had one sister, Ruth Marie Snell Normando, and one brother, Charles Edward Snell. My sister was older than I. My brother was younger.
After you were born, can you remember what the first thing you remember about Vermilion?
Oh, no, I can remember we used to live in a house just west of Vermilion, and I can remember with my mother walking into my aunt's house who lived on Grand Street. That's the earliest thing I can remember about Vermilion. But in those days, you walked. You didn't have a car to run around in.
At large, bought the property that the church we're in was on. And it was, I forget how many acres. They bought it so that it was all ours to do what we wanted with. It was nothing but grassy. Well, it was weedy at the time, but that was him. So he went around, he put in bluebird houses, several of them there, to attract the bluebirds because he was fond of them. So that's how, and then flowers wherever he could establish. There was a little area there that's called Andy's Garden, just because of the fact that he was the one that kept the flowers going. So that's...
Well, speaking of the bluebird houses, does that have anything to do with how Bluebird Beach got its name?
Supposedly it did, but my husband seemed to think that whoever founded Bluebird Beach, that there are blue jays galore out there, but we have not seen bluebirds. In the time I've been there, I've not seen a bluebird, and he had not. But he thought the Bluebird Beach, a blue jay is a bluebird, and so that was his concept of how it got the name.
So it had its name before you...
Oh yes, it was that right from the beginning. And the thing that was attractive, the story that I gave you, was written by a reporter from the Plain Dealer because of the two streets that meet there. Blissful Road and Road to Happiness meet right there. And when I used to give an address, if I was buying something or whatever, is it really blissful? Road to Happiness had the same reaction when people gave it. Jerry and Jeanette Schaefer lived on Road to Happiness, and when they would give it, people would look at them and say, is it really? Well, it was as far as I was concerned and as far as I know. But those two streets are still there.
You don't know exactly how they got their name?
No, I do not know. It was there when I came, and apparently it was there from the beginning. And all of the houses in there were cottages. There was nothing in there but summer cottages at that time. At the time it was organized. And then later, some of them, added on.
Do you know where the people who had the cottages, where did they come from?
No, I did not. I didn't. Coming in when I did, I got to know a few of them, and then a house across the street from me right now, I saw that built. There's a log cabin on the, it's down by the lake. They brought the trees in on a truck and trimmed them and built the log cabin. And Bill Mose, I think it is, lives in there now. but it was a fascinating thing to watch because it was a good-sized building. And then there was another smaller one right on the lake, and that was moved up, and that's across the street from Shannon's. That one that's there, that was a log cabin originally, the little one at the end.
Well,
And Crystal Beach was just a big part of our life as teenagers, and the rides and the games and swimming.
how often would you go there in the summer?
Well, if we had a cottage for a week, you know, we were there every night. And the roller rink, too. And the spaceships. They're good memories.
Did you have a favorite ride?
Well, I think probably the roller coaster was the favorite ride. There were some in our group that would drink a milkshake and then they'd get on that ride that turned them upside down, and then they irped.
I understand you like the street dances.
Oh, yes.
Familiar?
That was a very big part. As a young couple, we lived down the street there, upstairs at Division Street. And with two babies at home, Chuck would come down for the street dance for a couple hours. And then he'd come home and watch the babies while I came down for a couple hours. And yeah, there was such a camaraderie with the local people at the square dances. They were entertainment, they were fun, and big time entertainment.
Well, we made our own chocolate syrup. We made we'd make simple syrup and put it in a pan and put it on the burner and heat it up to a boil, and then up to a boil, took it off, and then we put in extract of vanilla, and it was wonderful. We used to use 2 gallons a day.
Was it your specialty there?
Yeah,
No one
it
else
was.
had it? Or?
Nobody ever, and then nobody's had it since that time.
Overboard. My brother Ross was a big guy, and so big that one time when he jumped off the fish tug onto the boat, the dock downtown, he went through it. So there my brother was with his elbows up there where we were all standing. We got a blow out of that, but Ed was a good guy. He was just an old salt and a little on the, I guess, in the homely side, but he was a great person, and I loved him. I thought he was a nice guy. He was always very nice to all of us. We loved Ed. Ed finally ended up over toward east there with his son John, but it wasn't too long before he passed, so we had good relationship and good memories with that. My biggest memories for me, I write down there, standing in front of the insurance store downtown there. When you go out to the town, you go to the over the bridge, but don't go over the bridge. Stand there at the board, at the insurance thing, and there was the gas station that years ago was a Sunoco station at one time, and ended up as Ohio station with my brother Harry. So that was good, a place for all of us to hang out. But I really hung out at the boathouse. That was my dear thing. I have a picture of it that my nephew, when he was here, took it back to Florida with him, and he made a copy of it that's very up that big by making the grill marks all over. That's my dearest picture. So there's the old boathouse.
So you felt more at home down there
Yes.
than anywhere else.
Never forgot it. Felt bad because I didn't get to her funeral. I wasn't driving. So there were feelings there, I guess, and I thought of all times, but well, that just happens, that's all. My heart was there, though.
Sure it was.
And I went there afterwards when she was still alive, and she had a few things for me she wanted me to have. Actually, that was the last time I saw Mom. I guess that's why I always called her Mom. Mom and Dad. Because I was young when and they meant a lot to me because I could enjoy and do whatever I want to entertain myself. So it was fun.
Your parents up at the gas station.
Yeah.
That was pretty busy.
Well, I learned there to put air in tires and to gas them up, some oil. I had to put oil in there a few times too, helping my dad.
Wash windows?
Pardon?
Did you wash windows too?
Oh, not there, nah. Well, sure I did. All the windshields, yes. And the back one. The back one had to get to so they could see everything. So it kept us busy, kept me out of trouble. And I could even wander over on the bridge and look down at Helfrich's and later McGarvey's. And now, what is it, Tube Lube and something like that. That was always things going on. People that had too much to drink would stagger up the stairs and get up on the bridge, and I'd be up on